Hello everyone, welcome back to 100 Days of Coding with Derrick-Redeemer. This is day 17 of our coding journey. In our previous lesson, we learned how to create text, email, and password input fields. We also learned about placeholders and briefly introduced the action attribute as well. Today we are going to make our forms with two very important elements. These are labels and buttons. Without these two elements, forms will be confusing and difficult to use. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what labels are, create labels using the label tag, you connect labels to input fields using for an ID, create buttons using the button tag, understand the purpose of the type, as type is equal to submit button, the submit button that you see every form. Build a complete HTML form with labels and buttons. Before we start, imagine visiting a website and seeing 3 empty input boxes. Would you know which one is for your name, which one is for your email, which one is for your password? Probably not. Now imagine filling in all the information, but there is no button to send. Your information will just stay there. That is why today's lesson is important. Labels tell users what to enter. Buttons allows users to perform an action. What is a label? A label is a text that describes an input field. It tells user what information should be entered. So for example, when you take this field here, the name here, this particular name here, that's what a label. And we'll talk about this one. So for example, so I'm going to write some label here. So I'll claim this one from here. So let's start by writing some label tag here. So I'll write it below the HTML. So label. So this particular one here, this one is what the label tag. So how can we write this in? So after label, that's the open tag. So let's say name. We'll have name. Then you close the label tag here. This particular one here, you close the label tag. This one. Then you come to your input. So let's say input. Let's say input type. Sorry. So here you don't need to close the input like what we did in the previous video. Input is equal to, let's say, text. So text can close. Sorry. Here. When users see name, they know they should enter their name. So for example, let's open this by using our web browser. So you can see this particular one here. I mean this particular one here. This one. Alright. So let's think about some real life example. Think about a hospital registration form. It may ask for name, age, phone number, email. Those words are labels. They guide you while filling out the form. Now let's try to connect labels to input. Professional websites connect labels to their input fields. We use for the word for FOR. Then we also use for FOR. Then we use the ID as well. The ID. Use ID. These two things here. These two things we use them. Now let's write some example here. Let's write example. So I'm going to use this particular one. So let me copy this one again. So I'm going to copy the label. I don't want to type again. But if you know you have no type, you can type it. So I have let's say 4. So here label is equal to 4. Sorry, 4 is equal to 4 is equal to, then here where the name is double quote. Alright, so that one there. So let's name here, let's say full name. So let's say here is full name. Then so here so I'm going to close. Then after closing, I'm going to have something like full name. So full name. So that's what label. That's for the 4. So let me, so that you can see it clearly. Then we have the input type. So I will not clean the placeholder from the let the placeholder be there. Now we have the ID. So the ID equal to what? Full name. ID equal to full name. Now let me open it using the web server. So sorry. So this particular one here, you don't need to close the open tag for that one. So you close this one here. Alright. So now you can see it has worked successfully. So here, make sure you type what the full name or the label here. You type everything before the input. When you type the input, don't close the open tag. Don't put the less than, sorry, the greater than sign there. You make sure you write the ID before you write what the full name. This one, or you put the what the greater than sign there. Now notice that for equal to full name. What is the for this particular one here? Is equal to what? Full name. Then we have what the ID, which is also equal to what full name. So you can see that the ID and the for matches. So they match. That's why you can see what the label on the what on the web page. So when they match, the labels is connected, or the label is connected to that input field. An extra benefit is that clicking the label places the cursor inside the input field automatically. Why do we use label? We use label to make form easier to understand, more accessible, more professional, and more easier to use. All right. Now let's go to what is a submit button. A submit button, or a button, allows users to perform an action. Buttons can be used to submit a form, register, log in, search, send information. So creating a button, the syntax is button. So I'll have button. So button. Then I close my tag. Then submit. This particular one here. Submit. Now let's open our web browser for you to see. Now you can see here, this is what the submit button here. Can you see? All right. So let me clear this one from here. All right. So the text between the opening and the closing button tags is what users see. So this particular one, the submit, is what users will see. All right. So sometimes we can have here register instead of submit. We can have the login instead of the submit. Anything, any login, or sorry, any button that you want. So submit buttons, the most common button used inside forms is the submit button. So I want to write. So this particular one here. So button. So equal to. So here, button type. Button what? Type. Button type equal to submit. Equal to submit. Here. Then this. The code. Here. The code. Then you close it using the less than sign. Sorry, the greater than sign. Then submit. So the input type is what? Submit. So let me go here. Submit. So let's open it using our web server. Oh, sorry. All right. So that's it here. This particular one here. This one. Okay. Let me explain it for you. Now, the type. This is attribute. This one here is an attribute. The type equal to submit tells the browser that this button should submit a form. This button should submit the form. How does the submit button works? Remember the form previous view, or day 16. Remember the form that we created. The form equal to action. This particular one here. The form equal to action. This one here. The action attribute tells the browser where the form data should be sent. Your data should be sent. It could be your email, your number, or anything else. When the user clicks the submit button or button type, this particular one here, when the user clicks it, the browser collects all the information entered into the form and sends it to the location specified in the action attribute. Since our action is still empty, nothing will be sent yet. Later in this course, you will learn how to connect forms to real websites and servers. Now, building a complete form. So here we are going to build a complete form. We are going to combine everything. So here, this particular one here, I'm going to add label to this one. So label to this. So label. That's all. That's for. So for let's email. So for equal to email. So the double quote email, and I bring what a double quote again. So here I don't need to close. Bring the less than sign first. Then I close. Okay. All right. So here after the less than sign, I'm going to name it email. So email. So here is not needed. All right. Then we go to the for. Sorry, the ID. So here we don't need to combine everything, but the browser will read it as one tag or one element. So the ID is what? The ID is what? Email. And so ID equal to email. ID equal to what? Email. So here you can type the ID first before the placeholder. You can type the ID first before the placeholder. So this one is not needed. All right. Now let's go to the password field. The password. So the password field, that's what? Label. Then label before what? The for. So for equal to. So that's what? That's the password, right? The password. So password, then you close it. Then let's say here, password. Hope you're following. Then we come here. I think you can type the ID first before the placeholder. So the ID equal to, let's say password. ID is equal to what? Password. Then we have a line break before what? A line break before the submit. DR. A line break before what? The submit. Yes. What you can see. Alright. So this is what button. So let me put this one into here. So button type is equal to submit. So the submit, we have what? Button. Now let's open using our live server. Yeah. So we open using our live server. That's it here. Right. Now our form looks much more organized and professional. Imagine writing an exam. The question are the labels. Your answers are the input fields. The invigilator collecting your data or your answer sheet is like the submit button. Without the invigilator, your paper never gets what submitted. Now let's look at some common mistakes we make. Mistake one, not using what labels. We sometimes forget using what labels. Users won't know what information belongs in each field. Mistake two, using labels without connecting them, using for and what ID. We forget using the for and the ID. Professional developers always connect labels properly. Mistake three, placing the button outside the form. We sometimes place what the button outside the form. This one, we place it outside the form. So sorry, but there's some form here. Yeah. We sometimes forget to place it outside the form. This particular one here. It is not that advisable. That's not recommended. Forgetting the button text. We sometimes forget what the button text. A button should clearly tell user what it does. So what it does, that's what submit. If it is register. If it is login. Now, create a registration form that contains this is a mini project that contains names, email, password, labels for every field, and a submit button. Wrap up everything inside form action. So the form action. This one you have to introduce the form action as well. Test it in your browser. So after that, you can test it in your web browser like this. So the web browser like this particular one here. All right. Today we learn the label tag here. This particular one, the label tag. This one, this is the opening label tag, and this is the closing label tag. Then we also learn the for attribute. The for attribute. This one here. We learn the for attribute. We also learn the ID attribute. This one here, the ID attribute. Then we learn the button tag. The button tag. We also learn about the type submit. Type is equal to submit. How the form or how the submit button works with the action attribute. Excellent work. Today, you have made your forms much more user-friendly by adding labels and buttons. You also learned how the submit button works together with the action attribute to prepare form data for submission. In the next lesson, we will learn about radio button and checkboxes, which allow users to select one or more options in a form. Thank you for joining day 17 of 100 Days of Coding with Derrick-Redeemer. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep coding. See you in day 18. Happy coding.